Now, one of the other tendons and muscles that doesn't get as much of attention as the rotator cuff, but it provides a very crucial role for stabilization of the shoulder. So as we mentioned before, the rotator cuff surrounds the top of the outer aspect of the ball of the shoulder, and it holds the ball close to the cup, so it keeps centered. Well, what else inside the shoulder needs to be stabilized? Well, the interesting thing, if we look at our buddy Homer, you can see that he has pins and brackets that help him stay together and remain articulating and moving. Now, there's space. There's a space between that ball and that cup. So how close does that space really get? And does that ball actually touch the cup? Well, there is another important part to the shoulder that creates this cartilage cushion, shock absorber, and tracking device that allows the ball to stay in the socket when the rotator cuff is active and then the arm is, say, overhead, for example. So I'm going to open up part of the shoulder here, and so you can see, yeah, there it is. You can see, I'll grab the pencil and point right here, right here. This is called the labrum, the glenoid labrum. So the glenoid labrum is like a gasket. You know what a gasket is? A gasket is a seal. And the seal is kind of like this, and it's covering the cup. So imagine you have this cup here, and then there's this extra layer around it that is soft and actually creates like a wider seat position for the ball to insert into the cup. So the labrum is very, very important. So there's actually a muscle that connects to the labrum. And this is where I was explaining the rotator cuff. There's 4 muscles, but there's actually this unspoken 5th rotator cuff, except it doesn't help rotate, and that's why it's not in the group, but it's called the long head of the biceps tendon. So the biceps muscle, I can show you on myself, it's right here, okay? On Homer, it's going to be right here on the front of his arm, right through the humerus. And part of it it's 2 heads. Biceps has 2 heads to the muscle belly, a short head on the inside and a long head kind of right down the middle. And that long head has a tendon that goes right through this groove. Homer has a fantastic intertubercular groove, or we also call it the bicipital groove, where that tendon runs right up and in that groove, and then takes a 90-degree turn as it goes up, and then it goes in, and it connects onto the superior aspect of the labrum. So when you activate your bicep muscle, you're actually pulling on that tendon, and that tendon will pull on that labrum, and literally it's connecting you to the scapula. So it pulls the scapula into the ball, whereas the rotator cuff helps pull the ball into the scapula. And those are the 2 mechanisms that provide a tremendous amount of stability to the ball and cup of the shoulder.